Am I the asshole for telling my manager it's not my problem if nobody can do my job? So some background is needed here. I'm 19M and have worked at the leisure center in my town since I was 16. It has a gym, a pool, a function room, hall and a cafe. Up until recently my job was cleaning the gym and hall and cleaning the cafe. But obviously it's been closed for a while and I've been on furlough. Thing is, my parents' house is very toxic and it reached a point where I had to get out, which I couldn't afford to do on furlough alone. I took on 2 new cleaning jobs to cover my living expenses. The leisure center opened again last week, all apart from the cafe part, and I realized just how much I'd be juggling now between work and uni. Since the 2 new jobs pay significantly better than this one, but I can use all the extra hours I can squeeze in, I elected to stop working in the cafe when it reopens because I think those hours will tip it over into too many territory. I told this to one of the 2 cafe managers and she said that's fine. So, the issue. This morning the other cafe manager messaged me about reopening and stuff and asking if I'm okay to work the same hours I was before. I replied saying, "Sorry, I think there's been some missed communication." I told other manager, "I won't be working the cafe anymore as I've got 2 other jobs now and it's just too many hours." She was not happy. She began complaining to me that the cafe is short-staffed as is and they don't have another cleaner on hand to do it. At one point in my life I'd have folded and said I'd do it, but I'm trying to be better about advocating for myself, so I said, "I'm sorry about the inconvenience, but I had my notice okayed and sorting a replacement isn't my problem." She then got upset and called me rude and insolent and said she's going to report me to the overall GM of the place for my conduct. I'm really beginning to panic that I'm going to get into big trouble for this, and if I could have handled this better? Am I the asshole for what I said? Edit. A timeline of my work caused some people seem confused. 2018. I start working at the leisure center aged 16. My jobs are cleaning the gym area and the hall, function room if it gets used. I later start working in the cafe when somebody leaves, waiting tables, manning the counter and cleaning up. March 2020. When COVID hits and lockdown 1 happens, the leisure center closes indefinitely and I get put on furlough. July 2020. Lockdown 1 ends, I go back to work. Am briefly furloughed again for the circuit breaker lockdown in October, or was it November? ADHD brain, I'm bad with time lol, but go back to work again. January 2021. Johnson announces 3rd lockdown, I'm back onto furlough. February 2021. The already toxic situation at my mum and dad's house becomes unlivable and I have to move out. However, my furlough pay and SFE payments combined aren't really viable to live independently on, and I don't qualify for universal credit as I'm a student. I apply at an agency and get 2 cleaning jobs through them, one at a GP surgery and one at some offices. It's significantly better pay and a better contract and allows me to move out and keep myself. April 2021. The leisure center, Sands Cafe, reopens and I go back to cleaning the gym and hall as well as my new jobs. I realize between juggling the gym hours and the agency jobs and uni work, I'm basically at my limit for how much I can do. I decide that, when the cafe does reopen, I won't be able to manage those hours too, and the situation in my post ensues. Not the asshole. Sounds like the manager is trying to scare you. Report you to the GM at a place you no longer work? What are they gonna do, fire you? Lol. You got the okay from the other manager, you did everything right. The manager is just mad that they have to do actual work to find a replacement. Edit. NVM opt to still work at the center. I stand by that. The manager is still just trying to scare him. Not the asshole. She's going to report you? Hilarious. Who to? The director of Hurt Feelings? Not the asshole. Make sure you have proof that you gave your notice. Not the asshole. Advocate for yourself by beating her to the punch. Write an email to the GM. Explain what the manager said to you and explain the whole situation about having 2 other jobs now that pay better. Good for you to standing up to her. May you life be happy. Grin. Not the asshole. And I quote you. Sorting a replacement isn't my problem, that is 100% correct. You are not obligated to sort out that stuff. That is the task of the staff manager. I don't know when and why this developed into a trend, but normal staff is not accountable for getting replacements or organizing the shifts. Normal staff is accountable for getting their task done, in the required quality and speed. That's it. So no, you are not the asshole for telling her that this is not your problem and reminding her that she gets paid for doing exactly that. I'm sorry about the inconvenience, but I had my notice okayed and sorting a replacement isn't my problem. She then got upset and called me rude and insolent and said she's going to report me to the overall GM of the place for my conduct. Sorting out a replacement is literally management's job. However, saying, "I don't care about your problems" to your manager is not wise, if you want to stay in their good graces. The contents of what you were saying were correct. How you said it was inconsiderate. But not enough to move into asshole territory. Just tone deaf. But your manager's an asshole for trying to guilt trip you into working when you said you don't want to and then subsequently power tripping when you said something without tact. Not the asshole. Lol. Not the asshole. Sorry we furloughed you and couldn't pay you the money you need to survive for months. But since we are back we expect you to drop everything and come back. Seriously, not the asshole. Not the asshole. The manager has bad communication. Not the asshole. You did everything appropriately in preparing to leave, and I think the phrasing you used in advocating for yourself sounds firm but necessary. This person was trying to play on your guilt and it was working, so good for you in not caving. Now she's using threats against you, which shows she's just upping her own bad behavior, and again, it's working, you feel guilty. Don't panic. She has little to gain by reporting you, and even if she does you can reply, if you're questioned, that you had prepared everything appropriately, and that her response was inappropriate. Not the asshole. However, if this situation ever happens again, try to use it to your advantage. Instead of, "I can no longer work in the cafe, as I work 2 other jobs." Try, "Unfortunately, I had to take on 2 other jobs to make ends meet while on furlough. While I would love to quit one of those positions and go back to working in the cafe, those jobs pay more. If there was a way you could match that pay rate, I would be happy to take some hours in the cafe that work with my class schedule. If you've been with the center for 3 years, you've been a good employee, and you elected to come back once the furlough ended, despite quickly finding employment elsewhere that paid better. This isn't an unfair or unreasonable request, and could allow you to make more money while working less hours. Not the asshole. Learn this now. Your job is your responsibility. Anything past that, including replacing you, is not. If said manager thought you were doing the job poorly, or if money was tight and they needed to get rid of someone, they would not blink before they let you go. Unless you end up in a rare situation, employer-employee loyalty has not really been a real force in the workplace since the economic redirection in the 80s. Don't feel indebted to give what you will not receive back. Not the asshole. You did your due diligence. The manager is just pissed they have to do work. Sounds like you got out of there just in time. Not the asshole. You gave your notice to another manager, and the other manager either didn't get that memo or he didn't accept it. I had the absolute pleasure once of telling one of my former bosses that I was not an employee there any longer, as I had been fired by one of the other bosses. Honestly, unless it is specified in a contract, it is not a person's responsibility to train their replacement, as it is assumed that their superior can do that. Not the asshole. The manager is just mad they'll have to find new person. Not the asshole. It is 100% the manager's responsibility to hire and train new people. You were furloughed, so I would expect the usual conventions regarding giving notice do not apply. If you are still working there as a cleaner in other departments, give your manager a heads up about this conversation so they can advocate for you if needed. Not the asshole. It made me smile that you were worried that you would get in trouble for this. You don't work there anymore. How exactly could they affect you without raising to defamation? You did everything right. Not the asshole. Good on you for setting a boundary and sticking with it, especially at a young age. You submitted notice. Don't let anyone guilt you into staying. Your own well-being is more important than any job, and it's clear that you are doing a great job evaluating what works best for you. Plus, if they really needed you and could not function without you, they can always pay you more. Don't accept less than you deserve. Not the asshole. You weren't fired. You didn't do anything wrong. You just didn't want to work there anymore for time reasons. You notified one of the managers ahead of time. I'm assuming you work at a cafe, so it's not like you have a 2-year contract to stay or something. You always had the right to leave and just not take their salary. So I formally commence by ruling you as not the asshole. Don't panic. You've sorted this out already. Did you message the first manager via text or email, or was it verbally? The only thing you could have done better is wording it. I'm sorry you missed the communication from manager 1, but I do not have the skills needed to find a replacement. If I find someone, I can refer them to you if you want. but my current workload and study load don't allow for extra hours. So basically an apology and shifting the burden to the managers again, but without the somewhat abrasive comment. Not the asshole anyway though. Besides, not the asshole. Best of luck with your degree. You're obviously a hard worker and I'm sure you'll do extremely well in life. How could you be in trouble if you don't work there anymore? They can't demand that you work for them. You handed in your notice. You did everything right. The second manager is just being demanding and entitled. Put in a counter complaint. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. I would report her for being extremely unprofessional as a manager. She can't treat you like that just because it's an inconvenient situation for her. We need you, so I'm going to report you so that if you get fired we're even more short-handed. You're fine. She's just taking her frustration out on you. Not the asshole. Not the asshole, obviously. Managers that blame employees for leaving are just trying to guilt you into saving them from hiring a new person. I like to turn the logic around on them. I'm getting a pay increase and fewer hours. In my situation I can't afford not to take it, but if you can make the numbers work I'll consider it. Not the asshole. I get not wanting them to dislike you or think badly about you, but my guy, you have 2 other jobs now, who cares what they think? Not the asshole. It's not your problem. They can try to report you, but they know it's not going to do anything. Not the asshole. You did everything you could do. You told the other manager that you would no longer be able to work in the cafe and it was okay. Sounds like the second manager should be pissed off at the first manager and not you. If the GM calls you, your response should be something along the lines of, I'm working several jobs now since you furloughed me and as a result I cannot work the cafe. I informed manager number 1 of this and apparently they failed to inform manager number 2. Not the asshole. You work there. You owe them nothing but what is agreed upon by you and them. This loyalty to work is too often a one-way street. You do what is best for you when negotiating selling your labor. That is what they are buying and you can sell the hours you want, nothing else. They have one choice: accept your offer or turn it down. If you are okay with them turning you down, then stick to your offer. And #X200B. You are young. Get that education and work your way up. Not the asshole. I'm confused. There are a lot of people out of work and she can't find a replacement? Something smells funny here. I would go to HR, or higher up, and let them know about her threats. It creates a toxic workplace and I'm betting they won't be happy. Not the asshole. You are not going to get into any kind of trouble whatsoever. Other manager is a lying a-hole. Not the asshole. Call her manager about the threat. You don't have to work for someone you don't want to. Not the asshole. This manager is trying to bully a younger, more naive, she hoped, employee to work below their worth. If she wants you back in the cafe, she'd better see to it your pay is competitive and your hours cover one or both of your better paying jobs. Also, she needs to clean up her bullying attitude, or the cafe will always be understaffed. Not the asshole. Capitalists are inhuman monsters. You said no, and she doesn't think you should have the right to do so. Not the asshole. Your managers are not communicating with each other well. You did your notice and had an understanding, so you did your part. The second manager that reacted badly was uninformed and aggressive needlessly. Knowing your limits as a worker is a good thing. Don't take on this manager's inability to manage, and find new workers for the schedule guilt you into taking on too much. Maybe the manager is unqualified to be in the position if getting some new people is too hard. Sorting a replacement isn't my problem. From a professional standpoint, it probably wasn't smart to jump straight to this, but that doesn't make you ta. You are definitely not in the wrong here. You could tell them you'll do it if they'll pay you enough to make it worth quitting one of your other jobs. Though it likely won't work, it's worth a shot. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. I would have said, not my responsibility, instead of, not my problem, since that does come off kind of rude and can definitely trigger certain people. Either way, she's definitely the asshole in this situation. Not the asshole. She's trying to scare you because you're young. Stand your ground. Good work is hard to find. She's not going to fire you. If you ask for higher pay to do both, try to juggle the crazy schedule for a few weeks without telling them to see if they are true to their word. Not the asshole. You did well to stand your ground. It reminds me of, lack of planning or preparation on your part does not constitute an emergency on mine. Can't promise you things will go swimmingly with your GM, but you are not in the wrong. If they speak to you, you can very non-accusingly show how they haven't planned and assumed you'd be bullied into it. Not the asshole. They can't find another teenager to clean things for them? That just sounds like laziness on the manager's part. There's no way it's that hard to find someone to do this job. Hard, not the asshole, and definitely not your problem. Stand your ground. Not the asshole, but it might be best just passing this information up the line to say what you have received and cover your own ass in case they try to spin it some other way. Some people are just vindictive dicks, so always cover yourself. Not the asshole. To be honest, that response I would have said, "I don't appreciate your attempt at harassing me to come back to work for you. If that's how you treat your employees, I'm going to cut my notice. I'm general and quit on the spot right now. Your behavior is very inappropriate. Every place is severely understaffed. It sucks, but it is what it is. Harassing a minor to have one extra set of hands is not the way to do it." Then I'd file a complaint to our just to fill them in on her behavior. Not the asshole. Work doesn't care about you, and you shouldn't care about the place you're working beyond doing your job. They're just mad that they have to do the bare minimum and can't just rely on somebody else. Any time a job has given me grief over putting my life before their job, I just up and quit, only once. Not the asshole. And hold on to those messages too. Make sure that you bring up how you were spoken to by this person. That is beyond inappropriate. You technically gave notice, but I would have followed that up in writing and deliver it in person. Always leave a job on good terms. You never know if you'll need their assistance in the future. Not the asshole. The manager is using their position of authority to try and scare you into doing what they want, and it's not okay. Not the asshole. Report her to HR, or whomever is in charge of hiring, firing, for her threats. If she thinks you're that important, then they won't let you go in the other areas of the business.